So I'm going to record this and I'm going to have to write with my finger. I just need to make sure that we're all on the same page since I was absent yesterday. We know that I sent you a message yesterday as to when exams were and how we were handling this. And I'm getting less and less of these questions, but I'm still kind of getting these questions that are kind of fairly repetitive, which I understand. This is all new to you, even though we are already this is already September, right? And we started in August. So, number one, if you're absent, all the work is posted. No matter what, if you're absent, the work is posted. Is that clear? The videos are posted, class videos are posted. The reason that's all posted for you is for you to be able to keep up. And forgive I'm writing with my finger, so it's the best I can do with my finger. So the work is posted. It's posted in Schoology. Usually I have the attachment or the link. If there's a problem, you can always email me, text me. If I can, I will reply. But remember, especially if I'm absent, it's usually for a good reason, which means I'm not going to be able to reply to whatever it is you're doing. In fact, I could always say it's 100% for a good reason. So all the work is posted. If there's kind of a if you have an excused absence.
Do you want this?
Yeah, put it down. Thank you. If you have an excused absence, that means one of those blue slips that are signed by everybody. Then you have 2 days. If then, right? Then, if you have excused absence, then you have 2 days for every day you're absent. And that sounds like a fantastic thing. Yay, forever. Except we're going to keep going. And if you haven't reviewed the work, you haven't kept up and I understand, you're sick, you don't feel like doing it, that's why you're home, because you're sick. I appreciate that. I've been sick myself. I will be sick again, I'm sure. I'm older, as you get older, illnesses hit you a little harder. But okay, you're sick. As soon as you start to feel better, I would suggest you try to catch up with some of your work so that when you get back, it's not so overwhelming. Because then you're going to have, let's say you missed 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks of class. That's 10 days worth of lessons. That's probably 3 hours of video watching, probably 5 different activities you're going to have to get done. Chapter readings. You've known you had a chapter 1 test for almost a month now, right? You've had your chapter reading for a month. You know that this chapter 1 test was coming. Have you read it? This is for you to answer. This is not for me. I don't need I don't need an answer. In fact, I don't want you to answer it. I want you to think. Have you read the chapter? Reflect for a minute. Did you read it? Did you take notes on it? If you haven't, in a month, well, why? That's a problem for you. And what is the motivation that you have to find inside yourself to get that done? Because that has to be done. I'm going to assign another chapter tomorrow. After the test, I'm going to give you a 3-week syllabus. It's going to have exactly what you need, and we're going to start to do some serious biology really quickly now. Okay? It's going to be smooth. It's going to be at a good pace. It's not going to be too fast. But if you're not doing this keeping up, it's going to get overwhelming. Does that make sense? Let me try to give you an example real quick before we go on to the review. Do you guys have chores at home? What's your chore? Give me an example of a chore. Yeah.
Kitchen, bathroom.
All right. So your mom goes away for a week. You don't clean the kitchen and the bathroom for a day. Second day, you don't clean it. Dishes start piling up. You and your friends go out. You just come back. You order McDonald's. You leave the bags everywhere. Garbage cans full of garbage. You know, bathroom's getting a little bit on that. You got the dirty towels on the floor, right? Maybe you don't. You know, it starts to build up. Correct? Doesn't it feel overwhelming when you don't do it every day? Doesn't it feel like, oh my God, those dishes are piled up to the sky? When you don't clean your room, doesn't it get to be tremendously, outrageously, the question that comes is, where do I start? Isn't that how you feel? Haven't you gone through that? Yes. Now I'd like an answer to this. Have you or not? Have you felt that when you've let things go and then you don't even know what I'm saying because you weren't listening to it. So when you let things go over a long period of time, how do you feel when you look at this giant amount of work? Even if it's simple stuff like cleaning, how do you feel when you're looking at actually getting it done? How does it feel? Overwhelming. Now multiply that times how many classes do you have?
Well, no, we have 8 because 7 and 8 is. Oh, yeah.
So you have 8 classes. 8 classes. Let's say, you probably don't have this, but let's say you have a chapter in each one. That's 8 chapters. And you're not in probably 17 activities in 2 weeks. And you're not going to do anything to keep up. You're just going to come in and say, I'll catch up now. But then, even if it takes you 14 days, like you get 2 days for every day you're absent, that's 10 days, right? Because there's 2 weeks, is 5 days in each week. That's 10 days. So you got 20 days. So you got a month. A month from now, do you think you're going to be able to finish all that work and then the next chapter's work and all the next 6, 7, whatever number of activities that are in 8 classes? How do you feel like that's going to be able to be managed? That's going to get real tough real quick. And what most people do is they shut down. And that's the worst thing you can do. That is the worst thing you can do. You need to take it one step at a time. You need to seek help if you need it. I'm here on Wednesday or Thursday after school. You need to get it done as fast as you can, as well as you can. And that might mean that you don't get a good grade, but you just keep moving. And then you get a better grade on the next activity and the next test. You hit it hard and you keep hitting it. When you get knocked down in a fight, you don't lay down because you're going to get kicked. Right? You get up and you swing as hard as you can and you keep swinging until they back off. That is how life is. In Spanish we say, la vida es una lucha. It means life is a struggle. You have to struggle. You can't just, I get you're sick. I'm sick. Look, I wanted to stay home all week. My puppy died. Yeah, she was old, but she's my girl. And she passed. And it's hard. And I'd rather stay home. And my dogs are mopey and I got things to do at home. But I'm not there. I'm here. Why? Because it's my duty. I'm here. Am I mopey? Did I not do my job yesterday? Did you not have a lesson yesterday? Did you have a lesson yesterday? Oh, well, you should because it's posted. Yeah, you did. My dog's dead on the floor, and I sat down and I made a lesson. Because I knew you were coming here yesterday, even though I couldn't be here. Do you think I felt like doing that yesterday? No, I did not. But I did it because it needed to happen. Does that make sense? There are things you do because you have to do it. Not because you like to do it, not because you want to do it. Maybe it's not as good, as done well as you want to do it. But sometimes in life you have to do what the best thing you can do is just get it done. Does that make sense? Just get it done. Just like cleaning that room, just like doing those chores. Just wash some of the dishes. The rest will flow once you get started. So start getting the work done. So 2 days for every 1 day. Assuming you have an excused absence, that means a blue pass signed by the office. If not, then turn it in. Turn it in. And anyways, you don't get any penalties until what? What day is it now that you have to look forward to that's going to be the new deadline? What is that date? Should be in your binder, should be in the notes, in order by date. September 17th, which is? So your absolute deadline's in a week, unless you have what? Unless you have what? Excused absence, then you got 2 days for every day. But remember, just because it's excused doesn't mean you don't have to get it done, and it doesn't mean we're going to stop. You're going to raise your hand. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I wasn't here 3 weeks. You got to catch up. That means after school, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm here after school with the chess team, the D&D team. I got P kids coming in here getting tutored. I got the neurosurgeons coming in on Wednesdays. We'll have the dates for you. We have neurosurgeons coming in and brainstormers. I suggest you all come. It's really fun. They do surgery techniques with you. They'll actually walk through they're neurosurgeons, the most highly trained physicians on the planet from the Cleveland Clinic. And they're coming here for an hour and a half, and they're going to sit here pretty much. There's 4 or 5 of them, and there's like 30 of you, and they sit there and they show you how to sew skin together. They show you how to drill into heads. They'll bring ECGs, and I'll show you how ECGs work. It's amazing. Amazing stuff. You know, EEGs, not ECGs, I'm sorry, not echocardiograms, but electroencephalograms. So things that you stick on the brain to look at brain waves, they'll sit there and they'll look at that with you. It's amazing, the stuff they do. They actually brought a human head in here, and they did a dissection of a human head in the room. It's pretty cool. It freaked me out, though. They reached in a box and they pulled out a human head. I was like, yeah. See, that brings me to the second thing that people keep asking me. Can someone open up Jupiter and read the message I sent everyone? So go into Jupiter, somebody, and even if you don't have your password, you get emails. You can open up your email. What was the message I sent you on Jupiter? Please read loudly. If you want the mic, let me know. What was the message? Could I have it? Oh, you want me to read it to you? You don't want to read it out loud? Somebody want to read it out loud? Here, give the mic to somebody. Take the mic. Why is everyone so... Go ahead. I don't care. Somebody has it open. Read it. I'm not reading it. Tired is not a good reason not to be participating. Tell that to your boss when you're working. I'm tired. You're fired. Ah! Come on, people.
Are you talking about the one you sent Sunday?
The one I sent because I wasn't going to be here on Monday, which correct was Sunday. No, with the mic. Let's go. Come on, you're killing me here with time.
I am sorry to say I won't make it in tomorrow. All your work is online in Schoology. My old girl dog Emily died. I'm not feeling well at all over it. I will be in on Tuesday. Of course, assignments will be delayed. We will reschedule when we meet. Also, if there's any greater issues, as always, I'll be available on Wednesday and Thursday after school. Put any work You need to be graded in the appropriate exam with full names, and I will get it done on Tuesday. Thank you for your understanding.
So why are people asking me if we have a test today? Why, I don't know, am I misreading something? Oh, they didn't read the message, I see. So read your Jupiter message. If you didn't get it, I can understand. If you didn't get the message for whatever reason, that's fine. But everyone in the room should have, or most people should have read it. And that was Sunday, so that's 2 days. That means for 2 days you haven't read the Jupiter message. So no, there's no test today. It's obviously going to be delayed because I want to finish the review. And I want to make sure that your activity yesterday was satisfactory. I got positive reviews from people that said it seemed to make sense. All right, moving on. We have, let's go ahead and start. Let's finish our bullet point list of things that you know are coming. You know you're going to have to design an experiment. You know what that entails, all the steps. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be drop-down menus. So you're going to have drop-down menus that, yeah. Yes. You're going to have drop-down, you take the hall pass, not the bathroom. There's, it's going to be drop-down menus. Drop-down menus. So you won't have to spell anything. You just have to choose the right choice. But it's not going to be extremely easy, huh? So it'll look something like this. There'll be a little button, and you'll click, and then there'll be a list of choices for you to choose from. So you choose one of those for each. So it'll be like, here's a situation. What kind of question would be appropriate for this situation? What kind of hypothesis would be appropriate that would test that question? Does that make sense? And it'll keep going. I don't think it's going to be hard. I really don't. I think it's going to be fairly, if you've paid attention, you've done all the activities. Yesterday's activity I think was pretty cool. Did you do it? It was due yesterday before you left? Did you turn in?
Yeah, but I wasn't here.
You know, look, there's no way to get back. You saw the directions said turn in before the end of the period. There's no way, I don't play that game and I'm not saying you're playing a game. I'm saying in general, kids play this game that I'm going to play around in class and I'll wait till they get back, the teacher gets back, and then I'll do it. No. If I'm absent, I leave you work. It's not turned in. If you're absent, that's one thing. With an excused absence, that's one thing. If you're in here and you don't turn something in before the end of the period, then that's a no-go. That's a 0. That's not, you can't make it up. There's no discussion about it. We're done. Now, if this young lady turns half of it in, because she had that's all she can get done. And this lady turns half of it in, and most people turn half of it in, and a couple people do it all. And then this young lady only does a fifth of it. Well, she obviously fooled around to the end of the period, and then at the last minute, unless there's some other reason that we can have a discussion about, one-on-one Wednesday or Thursday afternoon, this young lady was not part of the mean, right? She's an outlier. She's a person who was not doing what they were supposed to be doing for whatever the reason, which I'm sure they'll come over and discuss it with me. But understand, your ultimate, whether I'm here or not, your ultimate job is to get the assignment done by the time allotted, whether that means it's 100% done, 50% done, 5% done, whatever it is. Whatever you turn in, you turn in. Is that clear? The principal told you that during our meeting. I'm telling you that clearly here. You gotta turn it in when it's due. If I'm not here. If I'm not here to visualize what you're doing, then your ticket to being proving to me that you were doing what you're supposed to be doing is that work. If you don't have that work done, then you've been fooling around. And I have no time for that. Now, if you have some other reason that you would like to discuss with me, that's fine. Discuss it with me Wednesday or Thursday night. And we'll talk about it. I have plenty of time to talk to you about it. But I'm not gonna let you waste time in class when I'm absent so that you can come back later and I don't know what's in your head, the kids that do this. And you could have uploaded it at home. It needed to get turned in. So just turn it in. Next time, turn it in. I mean, that's all I can tell you. I gave you those instructions in Schoology. It says clearly, I will not accept work that's due at the end of period outside that period. I just can't. And I understand you can't upload it in class, but then upload it as soon as you get home. As soon as you get your phone back, right after school. All right, so design an experiment, all the steps, drop-down menu. Everybody okay with that? All right, the scientific method. So we're done with that. I don't have any questions, any concerns before I move on? So you know your test is tomorrow. Wait, is tomorrow a shortened period or is that? Yeah. So your test is Thursday. So your test is Thursday. Your test is Thursday. That's it. Enough prep. We got to move on. You have multiple activities, multiple ways of seeing how to do scientific method. All right. Let's talk about what we're going to do with our data. So once we get data, what do you do with it? And when do you use a pie graph? And when do you use a bar graph? And when do you use a scatter? Well, by the way, that would be a graph, right? Oh, I do. And when to use a scatter plot, I guess I should do this because there's no x and y in a pie graph. When to use a scatter plot, what is a scatter plot? What is a best line? When to use error bars? What are error bars? What is and this is going to reflect a little bit from for the test on Thursday, is what is the independent dependent variable? Yeah. How do you title it? Can you do a best fit line with a bar graph? What does a best fit line tell you? What is average / mean? What is standard deviation? What is mode? What is mean, mode? What's the other one? Mean mode. Oh, range, yeah. Mean, mode, range. What else? Median. maximum. What does slope tell you?
What?
Slope. So these are all things that you need to know moving forward. You need to know when you have data, what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to graph it? So if you have data, so let's look at this. Let's look at 3 basic graphs. And there's others. There's others we could do, but let's look at 3 basic graphs. A, B, and C. Arguably the easiest thing to do is A. A is used when you have percentages. A is a pie graph. Use a pie graph when you're using percentages. That's it. If somebody asks you to graph, you got 10, what percent of, 5% of the population is this, and 7% of the population is that, 80% of the population is that, then they ask you to graph it. The best way to represent that is in a pie graph. If I was going to show you the number, there are other ways. You could do a bar graph. It's possible to do a bar graph. It's possible to do a scatter plot. But it doesn't always, it's not always the best way. The best way with percentages is with a pie graph. If you have categorical data, if you have data that's in different categories, like how many females are tall versus are 6 foot, how many males are how many female men are over 6 foot, how many female, huh? What is funny here? Oh, I said female. Okay, whatever. Okay, I don't know. I'm just trying to stay focused. And I love you guys. You're a good bunch of students. I just want you guys to understand you got to stay focused or you're going to get lost and then you're going to get frustrated. So you got how many categories? So when you have categories, anytime your data is in categories, that means men, women, boys, girls, and you got a bunch of numbers. Maybe men is 20, women is 40, boys are 15, and girls are 12. These are the numbers you have to graph. But you see how they're in categories? You see how you have one category that's men, you have one category that's women, you have one category that's boys, and you have one category that's girls. Do you all see that? Yes or no? All right. Say that? Okay, you see it. Okay. So when you have this situation, again, I just want to emphasize when you have percentages, you want a pie graph. When you have a situation where you have categories, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a single graph where you can have the number on the, because the number is what's changing. You're controlling the categories, so that's your independent variable. So you're going to have men, and they're going to be about 20. And you have women, and they're going to be about double that. And then you have boys, and they're going to be 15. And you can put them any way you want, in whatever order you want. But they have to be on bar graphs. Why? Because it's the best way to represent this type of data. Now, why am I using different symbols inside each of the bars because sometimes you have to do it in pencil, you can't do it in color. So, and obviously they would be much better organized, but that's the kind of that's the kind of graph you would use if you have categories. If you have data where you have numbers, you basically have two numbers. One thing, X, can I use X as a variable? Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay, some X, and then you have some Y and some other variable, and you have a bunch of numbers. If you have these kind of numbers, then you're going to have an XY scatter plot. You're going to have to plot your points. You have the numbers here and some numbers there, and of course you'll title them appropriately. We're going to walk through an example in a minute. And then you're going to plot your points. Boom, 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 boom. Let me do something different because I always do the same thing. So boom, 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 boom. So at this point, when you want to look at the relationship between two variables, when you have a relationship between two variables and you want to try to figure out what's the relationship here. And it's not, certainly I don't think anybody would argue that it's clear what the relationship is. Sometimes you can see data points will line up like this. And it's kind of easier to see the relationship at this point, and right? I think this is easier to see than this. A lot of kids expect this when you do graphs. A lot of kids expect this. That almost never happens. You will almost never get all the points lining up that way. In the real world, this does not happen. That's why we do not connect the dots in the real world. We don't really get straight lines. Sometimes we collect the dots. Sometimes dots are connected. You can connect the dots. Not that it's not allowed, but it doesn't give you the best information. Because connecting the dots shows you how the data is changing from moment to moment. So if you're doing an ECG, an echocardiogram, if you're looking at a heart rate, then you want to connect the dots. You want to see you want to see this, right? You've seen it on TV? And so you want a graph that looks like that because you want to see when you see this happen or this happen, you want to see the anomalies and you want to see how often they happen. Does that make sense? So that's different when we're dealing with looking at, when you're asking a question and your question is, what is the relationship between A and B, between X and Y? Then you want to just plot the points. Just plot them, just like this. You all know how to plot points, yes? We're going to get some practice doing it, but do you understand how to plot points? Does anybody need some refresher? You need a refresher? No? Okay. So once you plot the points, then you draw what's called the best fit line. You take a ruler and you draw a line that goes as close to almost all those points as you can. It's a guess. It's a guess. If I drew a line, I'd draw the line this way. That would be my best fit line. This is what's called best fit line. Another word for this, this is one word for it, one term used. Another term used is trend line. The trend line shows you in what directions is the data going. In what direction is the data going? Do you understand that each of these dots, let me start with this. Does everybody understand that each of these dots represents a measured data point? Do you understand that? Please write that down. The dots on the graph represent the measured data. These are facts. these data points, whatever it is, x comma y, x like 3 comma y 3. This is a data point.
You said the dots on the ground measured.
Is a measured data. Is measured data. This is not imagined. This is not up for debate. This is what we measured. We measured this. We measured the data. It's a fact. It's a fact. Those data points are facts. They're real. They are not up for debate. Is that clear? That's what we took our ruler, took our graduated cylinder, we used our stopwatch, and we measured this. That's a fact. Now, could we be wrong? Yeah, we could have measured wrong. We could have clicked the button at the wrong time. Our technique might be bad. The air pressure might be a little higher today. The density of the liquid might be off. There's a million things that could go wrong. But whatever it is, that's a fact. That's what we measured. Does everybody get that? There's a reason I'm telling you this. There's a reason I'm saying this. Because if you're not clear on that, you're going to get confused. This trend line is not measured. Not measured. If it's just us guessing, it's a good guess. As to the relationship between X and Y. This tells us, hey, every time X goes up, Y comes down. Correct? That's not what the data shows. The data goes up and down. Do you see it? Up, then down, up, then down, up, then down. Correct? But the trend is that every time it goes up, X goes up, Y is coming down. So that it's not measured. It's not a fact. Now, we could use a program. Are you familiar with Excel? No, Excel. Sorry, it's Excel. You have it on, you know what a spreadsheet is? Google Sheets? All right, some of you yes, most of you no. So you could use Excel, which is just, all it is a bunch of, it's a big table with a bunch of squares. And you can put your data points, you put your X here, your Y here, X here, and your Y here. And you can put numbers in your cells. They call them cells. They call these little square cells. And you can graph it. It'll make the graph for you. Somebody wake her up. Wake her up. So far I've seen this is the negative behavior I've seen today in the room. I'm not pointing any fingers, just looking at the room. Having side conversations, jokes, laying their head down, sleeping, eyes closed. I'm not judging anyone, and I gotta say, I want to again say 99. I want to say what? There's 20 some odd people in here. I'm going to say 19 of you are doing exactly what you should be doing. Thank you. Thank you. There's a few that aren't. You need to get back on the horse. Let's get back in the fight. So Excel. Excel, what it does is it makes this line more accurate. Remember accuracy and precision? It's definitely more precise. And because it's more precise, it increases accuracy. So we can have Excel actually calculate something called our linear well, let me say this. A regressed line. Regressed. Now, if we think the data is in a line, then we would use a linear regression. If we think the data is in is kind of like this, like a big, a big jump, like that. If we think our data is going to have a real big increase, we would use exponential. Regression, and what that means is x to the y power, right? Some kind of exponent. If we think that our graph is going to plateau, so it's going to go up and then it's going to plateau like this, we'd use a logarithmic regression. But it doesn't matter. That's not really, you'll learn that in more advanced math classes. My point is that all that means, the only thing those fancy words mean is the best fit line. The best fit line. We're putting the line in as close as we can to the data, and we're looking at the relationship between the data. Is that clear to everybody? So, and we're asking ourselves now, why is this a powerful thing? So this tells us that everything's going down. All right. So this allows us to predict the last data point. Let's say this is the last. I'm sorry. Let me change this. Maybe this red dot is our last data point, and that last data point is at 20. What if I want to know what was going to happen at 25? What if I want to know what was going to happen at 25? Just to guess what would happen at 25. Do we have any data for 25? No, because it's not a dot on our, there's no dot on our, don't put anything away. Do not put anything away. The timer just went off, which means I have 2 minutes. You putting things away early is just another sign of your lack of attention to detail. So 20, if I want to know what's happening at 25, if I want to know what's happening at 25, because I have a trend line, I can go to 25. I can go up. I can find the dot that would be there if it was on the line, and I could come across, and I could mark it. I would have a number. And I could do that only because I have a trend line. So it allows me to predict data that has yet to happen. It allows me to predict. So a best fit line allows me to predict. So a best fit line allows me to predict. You will have to do a scatter plot. This is called the scatter plot because you're plotting the points and the points are scattered. You will have to do a best fit line because we want to see what the relationship is between the two variables, the independent and dependent variable. And you will have to then predict what a value is off that's not in your data set. Now you can start putting your stuff away and I'll take attendance.